All right, here we go. Another episode of The Real. You gotta love it. This old truck. Highsmiths. Hey, you gotta love that stuff, man. You gotta love it totally. Okay, so let's get up to speed with some latest news from The Real with Mel Highsmith. I want to give kudos off to the Texas governor. We never thought we'd see it in our lifetimes, but now we're seeing it just all over the place. This lunacy called the Democrats here in America, the liberal cancel culture movement, the total 100% NWO takeover of the world, or at least that's what they're doing. So the governor of Texas issued an executive order banning vaccine passports in the great state of Texas. He did this on today. Republican Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, signed an executive order prohibiting the state agencies from requesting a person's COVID-19 vaccination status. Everybody in America, I think everybody's kind of woke up to understand. So you have COVID-19 and the tragedy that it reaped upon the entire world at the benefit of a small group of people. But the wild and strangest thing it is, for something that has a 99.7% survivability rate, they're trying to push a vaccine down our throats, and have a third of us already taken the stuff that it hasn't even been through trials. Do you understand? Hasn't even been through any trials whatsoever. Oh my God, it blows my mind. It does. I think the ignorance that's going on with these liberals and the NWO has just gone too far. So you just got to love these beautiful white hats. So the governor's finally standing up for the people of the state. He opened us back up and said no vaccine passports. Myself, I'm not going to have anything stuck in my body. And this is for a fact. I'm not going to have anything stuck in my body that's foreign and hasn't been tested. Okay? I've seen most of my life what these crazy SOB, and I'll take from Scott McKay, scumbags. And that's peace up to Scott McKay, DFW, man. I love your show. I watch it all the time. These liberal lunatics trying to force the world into taking something that is now showing deadly consequences. So you're just not going to get me to stick anything in my arm or my ass or whatever for a vaccine that only gives you 99.8%. So it blows my mind that anybody would even consider doing something like that. But they're pushing the narrative all over the world that you need a vaccine passport. They did something like this, back in the 40s. I think everybody can, remember what history has not been cut out and totally changed. Okay, they can remember it's called the Nazi regime in Europe, to where people had to have papers just to move around. I guess no one learned the lesson from the 1940s for the hundreds of millions of people that died in that war to what's going on now. It's amazing that I still drive out on the streets and I can see people wearing double masks and face shields for something that you have a 99.7% chance, if you got it, right? If you got it, of surviving. It goes to tell you that the program that most the evilness of this world is done to the citizens of our planet through television, through movies, through school, was, public school is one of the worst things that ever happened to humanity, because you get these sicko leftists who sit there and brainwash our children, teach them to grow up to hate their parents. But with all that, you see them running around with their masks. It's an amazing thing when you go to local gyms, you'll see somebody literally sitting there running on treadmills with a mask on their face, and then pull that mask down to get some air, and then stick it back up. So what's that doing? I guess it does nothing, considering it says on the label of the mask that it doesn't do anything for COVID-19, but yet people still put it on, poisoning their body with carbon dioxide. But they don't really care. You can tell. I mean, most of them continue doing it. I know it's a scare, but that's the whole thing, is to scare everybody into obedience, because it is about the control, the slaves, the plebes of this world. The super elite for hundreds of years have literally stolen everything from our lives. So my hat goes off to Governor Greg Abbott once again of the great state of Texas, which this show is broadcast from, for standing up, finally. Because if you're going to be a leader of a great state, what used to be its own country, the Republic of Texas, you have to stand up and man up and do the job for your people. Because there's almost 23 million of us here in the state, or somewhere thereabout. I'm sure somebody's going to check it, the fact checkers, So thank you for standing up, Mr. Governor. So, off that subject about the vaccines, because that is enough just to turn anybody's stomach. Something as a 99.7% survivability rate if you got it. Can take a vaccine so you can have a 99.8% chance of not contracting it. And some of these things coming back with the thing has been pretty horrible. So let's talk about the gas prices for a bit. I go up to the pump and, I'm paying $2.59 a gallon. So everybody can say, you know what? It's not old Biden's fault that the gas prices are this high. It's not. It's his keepers, the puppeteers, the one who control his life. They're the ones who are pulling the strings. Because it is no doubt that Warren Buffett owns those railways running down from Canada, that with the pipeline, it prevented him from making billions, and I mean hundreds of billions of dollars. So you kill the pipeline, and that money flows right back to one person. So you really got to think about that. So they talk about saving our environment, climate control. That's the whole things they talk about, but they forget those diesel electric engines belch out tons and tons of exhaust. So to keep that in mind, the next time you sit there criticizing climate change on a pipe, that did, yes, if it get leaked, it'd have to be fixed. But all these tanker trucks and trains are just belching carbon monoxide and all the other bad stuff that the leftists are screaming is going on with this world right into the atmosphere. So if you wonder about your gas prices, now you know that's why they've raised up, and they're slowly going to go up because they're going to make sure that we pay them, And of course, everybody's been seeing on the news about the tax hike from the fake government. Okay. So it's wild how they sign all these things in stage sets and such like that, because they're not actually in the White House or anything like that. So signing all these executive orders, changing everything that's going on. Okay. So if America sits here and allows that to happen nonstop, no, I'm not advocating getting up and running and getting in the streets and duking it out with everybody. Okay. What I'm talking about is as long as you allow it to happen, because this all begins while you are focusing at the top of the dragon. The tail is doing the most damage right there in your small hometowns, smaller cities, and such like that. You get the people coming in from other states like California and New York that come into Texas because of our business-friendly atmosphere, and they buy into our businesses, and then they start running for office. Okay? I said last year when the show first started that it was just like immigration from the Eastern Bloc of Europe. Okay? They leave their country because they are tired of the communist and the strong arm of the tactics that are going on in their country against their people. So what do? They come here and do the same thing. You run from it, and then you do the same thing. So that's always just the thing keeps in mind, okay? So you can make a difference for these gas prices and everything that's going on. And we're going to touch on some other things in a second, but on these gas prices, buy local, okay? Buy local. There's nothing we're going to be able to do much about it at this time because the pipeline has been relatively shut down. But you're going to make you wonder as these gas prices go up, who's raking in the big bucks. hundreds of billions of dollars. So next thing I want to talk about is when you think about what's going on at the schools, okay? They want the transgenderism and all that goobly garb. They want it in their schools so our children can make decisions on what sex they want to be. You know, the wild thing about it is if you look up, I can remember my children going to school. I'm a proud father and a grandfather, but I remember they were going to school. I didn't have to walk in and see the guy wearing makeup dressed as a girl try to convince me that's normal for his way of thinking or his way of life to be pushed upon my children. I thank God that at least at that fact they were not in school during these horrible times right now. What kind of society, right, is okay with our southern borders being flooded out with a bunch of illegal aliens? Okay, flooded out with a bunch of illegal aliens. So what kind of society is okay with that? Blowing in, and everybody would say, no, Mel, no, we're not okay with that. Well, you have to be, because they're coming in here without the mask, but you send your child to the school with a mask on. If you do a little bit of research as a parent, you'll find out what that carbon dioxide going back in your child's lungs is doing to them. So I guess people are okay with the illegal aliens. I'm not going to say immigrants because they're not immigrating nothing. They brought them up here. Flooding out the border to an already stressed system. How do you break an economy? You overload it. So they're coming up here, being released to our general population, and guess what? They're getting big, fat checks. While your children are being muzzled at school, breathing in deadly carbon dioxide. The same people that everybody goes, that's my president. What are they doing? Think about it. They're bringing in more people, consumers, more children. More children into the country. Sorry, just one of my business partners texted me. More children into the system to feed their child trafficking needs. A lot of people saw that large tanker, evergreen tanker, the Evergiver, that was wedged sideways in the Suez Canal. So everybody's been saying, well, I guess all the prices of our stuff's going up. Oh, yeah. It was there for a week. And I tell you what, at $400 million a day, think about it. Who's going to pay for that? Okay? So it's kind of strange that you had on the Mediterranean side, you have the Russian fleet. Okay? On the south side, you had the American fleet. That would be navies. So before we get out here, I want y'all to just remember, #SaveOurChildren. The sex trafficking and child trafficking of this world has become a pandemic for the last 1,000 years that everybody has turned their heads and looked the other way. The very sick, scumbag, SOB elites of this world have turned us into their cattle. If we don't stand up now and protect our children, you're going to see your own child on the newsreel for being messy. We must protect our children. We must get a hand on the sick PEDOs of this country. You know, I'll say the word, they can knock your feet out. So the PEDOs of this country, and we have to, there's no reforming. These people must be taken from society, sent to state prisons, federal prisons, whatever we got to do. I got an idea. We could send them to California and New York, because we know all the representatives there are 100% for child trafficking. That's why you can be 85 years old and still going strong in the Senate. Think about it. So anyways, just on that note, I need you to subscribe to my channels. I can't do this without you, without the listener, okay? I cannot. So go in and subscribe. Hit the link below it. Hit that little bell. Help me get the message out to everybody. And if so, you feel like donating, you can send any donation information to Society Network MF at gmail.com. And check us out at www.highsmithexperience.com. www.societynetwork.net and societyradio.com. You catch us on YouTube, The Real with Mel Highsmith. And you can catch us on BitChute with The Real with Mel Highsmith. So once again, we'll see you next time. And here's a little solo from this old truck. And I think that you're going to have a real good time listening to this one. So here it is. God bless America. All right, and that's The Real, y'all, and I'll see y'all for another episode real soon. Remember, check it out, societynetwork.net, societyradio.com, highsmithexperience.com. Check us out on YouTube under the same name, and we'll see you next time on The Real with Mel Highsmith.
Time's been everywhere, every day that I drove you, headed down that road, windows down, that radio blaring, I got real didn't hold. This old truck, she has saved me, she is all I got. This old truck, she has freed me, when will she stop? Truck, she just died, sure didn't make me cry.